Hi friends, today we're going to start our final project, which is going to be our charcoal animal. For this project, you're going to want to use your gray paper and the charcoal that we sent home. You should have a white and a black of some sort. For this project, we're going to have you choose an animal. I recommend choosing, if you have a pet at home, doing your own pet and taking a good photograph of them to use as a reference. Otherwise, you can just go online and look for a good photo of an animal. You'll want to also turn it black and white. And for this project, I would focus on the face of the animal and try to make that really big versus focusing on the whole body. So you'll see here in my example, I started off with a printed out picture, but you can at home just use a photo that's on your iPad or a phone if you don't have a printer. What I did is I put a grid across my face there of the eagle, and I just did that to kind of help myself see where all the different shapes would go. So this is very similar to that first project we did with our animal using basic shapes. You'll notice I'm drawing with the white charcoal on my gray paper here. So you want to always use the white charcoal for your outline because the white erases much better than the dark. So if you make a mistake in your outline, it's good to have the white charcoal. So you'll notice for mine, I used a grid. Like I said, you don't have to do that. It's just another option. You just kind of draw across on the face of the animal if you have a printed picture. If not, you could, on your phone or device, draw across on your image right there using the edit tool. You can also just go back to your basic shapes that you're used to using. So notice now I drew the eye. I did a very close-up of the face for this one, and I recommend doing a close-up of the face of your animal. It's a little bit easier sometimes to focus and to also be able to put details in a larger area makes it a bit easier. So you'll notice now I'm going in with my dark charcoal there for the eye, and you'll either have a charcoal pencil or you'll have a stick charcoal. If you have a stick charcoal, you can sharpen it up a little bit. If you check back, one of those earlier videos that Mr. Kemp made shows you how to sharpen stuff, so that could be helpful. So you'll notice here I am filling in some areas of dark. I'm using my reference photo. And the great thing about charcoal is you can draw white right on top of black, although I am going to draw the highlight areas and kind of mark them off so I don't accidentally make them too dark. It's much harder to erase dark charcoal than it is to erase white charcoal. And you'll notice too, I'm going to use my blending stick for this because you want to make sure you blend all your charcoal as well. And the reason that drawing with black and white charcoal on gray paper can be so successful is because you're already giving yourself a middle tone. So by using the gray paper, you start off with a nice gray middle tone. There could be some areas in your drawing that you leave the paper sticking through and it will still look nice because it will look like it was intentional and that there was an extra gray tone in there. So you'll notice here that I keep going back and forth with the black and the white, and that's another trick to charcoal is after you blend something, you want to go back in with a nice sharp point and kind of re-outline some of those areas. So for charcoal, you don't want to just blend it and say, okay, I'm done. You want to blend it and then kind of go back in there with other layers. I think that's another thing kids forget with charcoal is that you can layer one layer, blend it, and then add more on top and reblend it. And you can keep doing that with just one piece of charcoal and you'll end up with lots of different shades of gray. So the whole point of this project is to get you to look at texture. And you'll notice I'm going to be adding, there's little white dots in the eagle's eyes, and so now I'm going to add those. So that is a texture. Whatever animal you choose might have a furry texture, might have a feathery texture, might have a rough texture, but our goal is to try to recreate that texture with our charcoal. So here you'll see I'm starting to lay in some white charcoal for the top feathers. And you want to, when you're adding a large area of charcoal, you want to, if you're using a pencil, use the side. If you're using one of those big sticks, you kind of just use it. And then, of course, I'm blending my white charcoal in to my gray paper. And then I'm going to add the feather texture on top of that white with some darker charcoal here in a second. So remember, the whole point of this is to try to make it look like there are feathers, like it's a realistic texture. So even after I blended that white, I'm able to go back over that with the white pencil and add even whiter areas. So keep that in mind as well. So here you'll notice I'm adding some dark feathers on top of my white feathers. And for those, I'm not pressing too hard because I don't want them to be extremely dark. And I'm always going right back to my reference photo and just really looking and making sure I'm putting the feathers in the right spot, the darker ones in the right area next to the lighter ones, and so on. So your goal for this project is to stay patient and try your best and not give up. This will be your last big drawing project for the year, so take your time, try to make it good. Don't forget you can draw white right on top of black and black right on top of white. So I hope you enjoy this project, do your best, and I can't wait to see your finished pieces.